second technical session of two-day national seminar on Bhakti movement in South India, a historical appraisal. M.A. Alwar is going to present on the Alwar saints and Ramanujacharya, the precursor of Bhakti tradition.
Bhutam sarascha mahadahvaya bhattanath Shri Bhakti Sara Kulashekara Yogi Vahan Bhaktangri Renu Parakala Indra Mishran Srimat Parankushamunim Pranatosmi Nityam Kasha Yashobhi Kamaniya Shikha Nivesham Dandatrayojvalakaram Vimalopavitam Udyaddinesa Nibhamullasadurdhvapundram Rupam tavastu yatiraja drishormamagre. First of all, I offer my salutations to the dignitaries on the dais, and also I offer my pranams to all the members of this learned audience. In fact, I deem it a great privilege to have been invited to this seminar in the Mythic Society. In fact, when I was very young, I used to come here with my revered father, Professor Lakshmi Tatacharya, and also Sri M.A.S. Rajan, who used to come here and have a lot of interactions with the great scholars of those times. And probably I am visiting here after a gap of about 30 or 35 years. So Mythic Society had a very exalted place among the intelligentsia of this city called Bangalore, and I am sure it continues to be so. And I think it's a very, very apt title that has been given to this seminar, which has been organized along with the sponsorship of the ICHR. And the topic given to me is the appraisal of the contribution of the Alwars and Ramanujacharya to the Bhakti movement. And for those of you who may not be very much aware of the number of Alwars, there were 12 in number, including Andal or Goda Devi, the sole woman among them. So this shloka which I just chanted gives the names of all these Alwars. Bhutam sarascha mahadahvaya bhattanath Shri Bhakti Sara Kulashekara Yogi Vaha Bhaktangri Renu Parakala Yatindra Mishran Srimat Parankushamunim Pranatosmi. So I will not go into the detailed explanation about their great life, history, etc. One very important point I would like to mention in the historical context, because we are dealing with this topic from the point of view of history and not from the point of view of philosophy or religion. So the Alwars are placed between the 1st century and the 8th century according to the modern historians. Of course, traditionally, many of them lived in the Krita Yuga, then a few of them in Treta Yuga and Dwapara Yuga. And the most important Alwar among them, known as Shatakopa Surya Nammalwar, says if he were to be born 48 days before, he could have had the vision directly of Lord Krishna. So he says, unfortunately, I was born after 48 days after Krishna returned to his Vaikuntha. So it's a great misfortune that I was not born earlier. But according to the history texts or the historical evidences, we see that these Alwars are born between the 1st and 8th centuries. In fact, the Srimad Bhagavatam, as a precursor to their incarnations in this world, says, Kalau khalu bhavishyanti narayana parayanaha kvachit kvachin mahabhagaha dramideshu cha bhurishaha tamraparni nadi yatra kritamala payasvini, etc. So, Kalau Kalu Bhavishyanti Narayana Parayana, they are there all over the country. but it says Dramideshu cha Bhurisha. So there will be more in the Dravida land. And Dravida land means South India, it's not limited to Tamil Nadu. So it's very important. And they all sang their songs which were an outpouring of bhakti. It's not a labored poetry as we all compose. So somebody asks us to say, please compose 2 shlokas on this and give us. It is labored poetry. We say whether Jagana is there, etc. So it's a spontaneous outpouring of bhakti. And there is a lot of discussion why it was in regional languages. The main reason is Sanskrit cannot be the mother tongue of all the people. It was rightly pointed out, and I will not go into that discussion. Always when we talk in our mother tongue to somebody, suppose we meet somebody in Delhi, we talk to them in Kannada, we feel they are so close to us. Similarly, all the Alwars, they were, and also many a times their mother tongue comes to them naturally. Of course, we had great poets like Kalidasa, and we cannot discredit them in any manner. We have utmost respect for them. But as far as the Alwars were concerned, it was a spontaneous outpouring of bhakti. And it is but natural that it is in the regional language, that is their mother tongue, in this case the Tamil. Then Ramanujacharya came in the 12th century. And what he did exactly was, he systematized the bhakti tradition. So many a times what happens, if the theoretical foundations of a particular theory are not properly established, that tradition will not continue. So what Ramanujacharya did was, he studied the entire bhakti literature of the Alwars, and one very important thing that is to be noted is, he raised it to the level of the Vedas. That's why we call it as the Dravida Veda. And we call Nammalvar or Shatakopa as Vedam Tamil Shaidamar. So he has captured the essence of Vedas and given it in a way that even ordinary people can understand. So Ramanujacharya studied the entire gamut of this Divya Prabandha literature. It's known as Divya Prabandhas. And the Alwars are known as Divya Suris. And the different presiding deities of the temples, 108 temples that they propitiated, are known as Divya Deshas. So in our tradition, we have the Divya Suris, that are the Alwars, the Divya Prabandhas, their compositions, and the Divya Deshas, that is the different exalted shrines of the Lord that were propitiated by the Lord. So these 3 terms are very important as far as our philosophy is concerned. So Ramanujacharya studied the entire gamut of these Divya Prabandha literature, and then when he saw the Upanishadic literature from the point of view, from the glass of the Alwar's experiences, it is seen that there is lot of analogy, or one can relate to each other. What has been mentioned in the Upanishads is found in the literature of the Alwars. What is found in the literature of the Alwars is found in the Upanishads. Just now, the great scholar Sri Virnarayan Pandurangiji showed us how all the Vedic texts propound the theory of bhakti only. So Ramanujacharya studied the entire gamut of literature of the Alwars, and then he compared the experiences of the Alwars with the experiences of the great sages like Vasishtha, Vamadeva, etc. And you have Yajnavalkya, several sages. And then he saw that both of these are 2 sides of the same coin. So, in fact, as he was mentioning, the entire Vedic literature focuses on bhakti only. And Ramanujacharya, in a particular adhikarana called Atmatvopasana Adhikarana, which is the second adhikarana of the first pada of the 4th chapter, he says, Vidyupasti dhyayati nam vyatikara nirdeshat. Vedanam, Upasanam, Dhyanam. All these 3 are one and the same. They all refer to the bhakti type of worship of the Lord. And that is what is found in the literature of the Alwars. So what do you mean by bhakti? What does one mean by the word bhakti? The word bhakti is derived from the root bhaja sevaya. And there are several sutras. You have Narada Bhakti Sutras, which propound the theory of bhakti. You have the Shandilya Bhakti Sutras, which propound the theory of bhakti. So, what happens is, bhakti really means satvasmin parama prema rupa. And it is also mentioned, mahaniya vishaye pritihi bhakti. The love or affection one has for an elderly person is known as bhakti. And this is found in all the texts of the Alvars. So, this is one very important aspect. Second aspect is, as was mentioned earlier, Shankaracharya also propounded bhakti. And one very beautiful example was given by Tirunarayan Pandurangiji. He was referring to two nyayas, that is, the Markata Kishora Nyaya and the Marjara Kishora Nyaya. I will elaborate it slightly in a different manner. So we have two important paths to attain knowledge, to attain moksha. The first path is the Jnana Marga. In the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, initially he says, Jnana Marga is very good. But then he goes on to say, Klesho adhikatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavadbhiravapyate. So the Markata Kishora Nyaya is an analogy where the young monkey will actually it will actually hold on to its mother's body. And the main aspect that is to be noted here is the onus of protecting itself rests with itself. So what happens? The young monkey, the responsibility of protecting the young monkey rests with itself because the mother has no control over the young one. In fact, it is very interesting to note that suppose a young monkey falls down when the mother monkey is jumping from one branch to another, it will be kept aside. It will not be accepted to the fold. So Jnana Marga is like that because the onus of protecting me is on myself. Whereas Bhakti Marga is compared to the Marjara Kishora Nyaya, where the mother cat will hold the kitten and take it from one place to another. So the kitten does not have to do anything. It has to just give in to its mother's wishes. So this is Bhakti Marga. So the protection of if I have to be protected, I need not worry about it. It is the responsibility of God to do it. I have to just give myself to Him. And in the Vishishtadvaita tradition, we have two more Nyayas, that is Kurma Kishora Nyaya and also Matsya Kishora Nyaya, where the Bhakti ultimately results in what is known as Sharanagati. So in the last verse of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, after giving all the details about Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, etc., he says, it comes to a standstill, he says, Vimrishyaita dasheshena yathechasi tathaku. I have told everything. Whatever you want, you can do. Then once again Arjuna is perplexed, what should I do? Then Krishna starts once again. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. So don't worry about all these things. You just surrender unto me totally. That's what you have to do. Nothing else you need to do. And then Krishna says, then Arjuna says, Nashto moha smritir labdha tat prasadan mayachyuta sthitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachan. So in the Matsya Kishora Nyaya, what happens? It is all proven by modern research now. So when the mother fish, it just has to think about the small fishes. They will be protected, that's all. So God has to have, he said that, Shubhena manasadhyatam gavam vriddhim abhipsata. In the Bhagavatam, there is a beautiful statement which says, Vrindavanam bhagavata krishnena klishta karmana shubhena manasadhyatam gavam vriddhim abhipsata. So when Lord Krishna went back to Mathura, he could not come back to Gokula. There is a beautiful, I will not go, it will become a religious discourse. Mathuram prapya govindaha katham gokula meshi. Once he is gone there, how will he come back to the village? Even now we have all come to the cities, we will never go back to our villages. So what did Krishna do? He was so enamored about the cows. So all he did was Shubhena manasadhyatam gavam vriddhim abhipsata. He said all my cows should be happy. They should have all prosperity, etc. They should be very well taken care of. The cows were very well taken care of. So all the God has to do is, he has to just say, let this Jivatma be happy. I will grant moksha to him. So we need not do anything. So that is the ultimate pinnacle of bhakti. That's what Ramanujacharya said. When he said, ultimately, he said, Desham samsara bandha vimochanam bhagavat prapatti mantarena nopapati. Unless we surrender totally to the God, we will not be able to cross this ocean of samsara. And that is the essence of bhakti. That's what Ramanujacharya said. And this is well established because in all the texts we see, for example, in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, so the great sage says, Tam hadevam atma buddhi prakasham mumukshuru vai sharanamaham prapadye. He says, all I do is I surrender to you, being a mumukshu, being a person who wants to attain moksha. All I do is I will just surrender to you. So Ramanujacharya also, not only did he systematize the tradition of bhakti, based on the experiences of the Alwars. Another very great Acharya called Pillai Lokacharya, who succeeded Ramanujacharya and who has written a beautiful work called Sri Vachana Bhushanam. He says, Sri Bhashyakara idu kondu Sutravakyangal orunga viduvar. Even while authoring the Sri Bhashya, which is the magnum opus of Ramanujacharya, a commentary on the Brahma Sutras, he was very well aided because of his knowledge of the Divya Prabandhas authored by the Alwars. That stood him in good stead when he wrote these commentaries, because the commentary on the Brahma Sutras, it's not purely based on logic alone. It is based on emotion also. One very important thing we have to note here is, when Shankaracharya propounded the path of jnana, it was very appealing to the head, of course. But Ramanujacharya came further after Shankaracharya and he bridged the gulf between the heart and the head. So philosophy cannot be it cannot be dry. Only when it is nurtured with emotion, then only it will become very enjoyable. Otherwise it will not become enjoyable. So this is the contribution of Ramanujacharya as far as systematizing the path of bhakti is concerned. The second aspect is, when you talk about Jnana Marga, what do? You have to shut yourself in an isolated place and then you have to just keep on meditating or do whatever is it. But bhakti is not like that. So Jnana Marga isolates oneself. In bhakti, there is a beautiful saying of Goda Devi. She says, Kudi irinde kulirinde lorembavai. It unites everybody. So whether you go to any temple where there is bhajan, or you go to ISKCON, you go to Swaminarayan Faith, you go to any of our temples, etc. There is, even Dasa Sahitya, they say, Lajje, Bittu, Kuni, Rembo, Kagada Bandire, that's what Purandara Dasa says. So, you have to associate with all the bhaktas. And then, So it says, Udgayati nam aravindalochanam rajangananam divamasprishaddhani dadnashcha nirbanthana shabdam shrito nirasyate yena dishamanangam. So right from Bhagavatam, we see in all the texts in which Bhakti is propounded, it actually unites all the people. So that way we have bhajans, we have mass chanting of Vishnu Sahasranama or whatever it is. And then you have distribution of prasadam, which also satisfies the taste buds. So that way Bhakti plays a very important role in social integration. Jnana cannot play that role. So you see there are several yogis that are just isolated in the Himalayas. And further what Ramanujacharya did, this is very well mentioned by Swami Vivekananda. He said Ramanujacharya was the first person to give a very practical philosophy that is applicable to all sections of society. So, as mentioned by Hirnarayan Pandangiji, when Madhvacharya stressed that it is useful for all, he was preceded by Ramanujacharya, who started the Bhakti movement. And we have historical evidence to show that Ramanujacharya traversed the entire length and breadth of the country and united all the people under the umbrella of Bhakti. So historically speaking, Ramanujacharya was the pioneer of the Bhakti tradition. Then you have so many in Assam, you have Shankaradeva tradition. In Maharashtra, you have the Jnaneshwara tradition. So in every nook and corner in Rajasthan, you have the Mirabai tradition. Then you have so many other offshoots. And all these were in a way pioneered by the Bhakti movement of Ramanujacharya. That is his unique and pioneering contribution to this field. So with these words, I conclude my talk. I hope I have not exceeded the time given to me. Of course, it's a very, very huge topic. Telling about it in half an hour is a very Herculean task. And also, the more and more we study, the more and more we are attracted to understand and also go deep into these traditions. And I am really happy that a topic like this, that is the Bhakti literature, a historical reappraisal, has been chosen by the authorities, the organizers who have organized this seminar. I once again thank all of you for your patient hearing. I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to be part of this seminar and share what little I know with all the people here. Once again, I convey my pranams to all of you and conclude my. Thank you. Namaste.